Oh boy, it's an incoming tantrum. Like, it's been
Please be
building
seated.
up this entire time. He is about to
Let me
just
make an offer
start.
of proof,
Hold on,
sir,
hold on.
as it relates to why or what questions and what information you believe this officer would provide about news reports that he has seen.
So the offer of proof would just be to that one question.
What would the question be?
The question was, would have been, if I was allowed to finish it, had he seen any news reports
Child.
directly connected to the incident?
But what's the
The same,
relevance
the same
for
thing
him?
the same thing that many other witnesses have been asked, and it
Lights
was
are
never,
blinking like crazy. I'm
it was
sorry.
never sustained. Then it was never even objected to. So it was the same. It was
Let's
essentially
focus
one of
on
the same
the
questions.
specific objection that was posed and my
And what was the grounds for
willingness
it?
to give you an opportunity to provide the court with an offer of proof. This was what relevance would this particular witness seeing news reports have to his testimony?
The same thing that any other witness that was asked the same question.
Which would be what? You have to be specific, sir.
I
I'm not
was
gonna
specific.
I'm not
Have
gonna
they
assume I
saw-
understand what you are saying.
Have they saw any reports related to the incident? That's the same question that's been asked by numerous
Well, there would
witnesses.
be a follow-up to that. So how is it relevant to this witness's testimony?
He has no
It's relevant
earthly
to
idea.
anyone who gets on the stand's testimony.
What's the legal basis you believe it's relevant to his testimony, sir?
It obviously forms an opinion.
That little stare to the side he did, he legit does not know what to say right now. I mean, I don't even have to say this really. Like, we know that he has nothing to say. He has no idea how to explain to her this nonsense that he's attempting to do. He's just upset that he can't do it. But like,
Again, I'm not.
like I said, I didn't even
You
have to
need to
really explain
explain
that
to me,
part.
sir, the legal basis why you believe I should allow that witness to be asked that question and then any follow-up based on his response.
What would have been the follow-up?
I'm asking you,
got
sir,
asked,
asking
and it
you're
her
the
what
one
his
who's the
follow-up would be.
proponent of this particular testimony and this questioning and the evidence. So explain to me your legal basis for why you believe it's relevant to ask, or any other reason, any legal basis you believe it's that I should allow that question to be asked.
I don't understand how you want
Here
me to
comes
answer
sovereign
that.
citizen.
I've stated the reason why I asked the question.
No, you state.
I'm actually kind of surprised he's not like using sovereign citizen ideals to try to say like, oh, okay, this is relevant because I can't even come up with an example. You know what I mean? His sovereign citizen stuff, he tries to use that as a means to like get through his testimony. Well, not through the entire testimony, because he uses his attorneys or his former attorneys, he uses their notes. But as soon as he gets into his sovereign citizen stuff, he really tries to make it seem as if there's a place for this and like it's justifiable. It's like, dude, come on.
Stated
Come on
it's
now.
obvious, but it's not obvious to me, so I'm asking you to explain it.
I also stated that I just clearly stated.
Oh my goodness. Hold on, that's a thumbnail. I'm so sorry, y'all. That's a thumbnail. Hold on 1 second. Everybody, he cannot form a thought because he shouldn't be doing this right now. He should not be defending himself. And the frustration of it, because he doesn't know the legal jargon, he doesn't know how to respond to this simple question she's asking him. Hold on, I'm not going to keep
I
it
just
paused.
clearly stated, that it goes towards biasness.
I'm
That
sorry,
would
it goes
be
to
relevant.
what? Wait, it goes to what?
Biased.
Bias?
Biased.
No, bias. B-I-A-S. Not, there's no T at the
Put a
end.
T.
Bias. I want to make sure I understand your
now it's a
reasoning
problem
correctly,
how
sir.
to
So
correct something.
it's
How to
you're
pronounce
saying it
something.
goes to bias. How does it go to bias of this witness, sir?
How would it not go to if you see something in the news?
It's not a proper
That's
legal
incredible.
argument, sir.
Okay, well, I don't know how you want me to answer
How
that.
would what he saw subsequent to his investigation impact either what he
She
did
called him out for the
beforehand or his
spelling.
testimony here?
Finally.
You have to make an offer of proof
For
as
the
to
pronunciation and
that. Without
stuff.
that, I'm not going to allow it.
You didn't allow it anyway, so what do it matter at this point?
I'm giving you the opportunity. It's called an offer of proof. I said
know
I would recall the
I'm well
witness
aware-
if I
I'm well aware
determine.
what an offer of proof is.
Okay,
I'm well aware.
so make your offer of proof.
I don't need to. It's clear.
He doesn't
Very
have
clear.
one.
I don't see anything funny either.
It's
a
not
very-
funny.
How does he not see this as funny? This is hilarious. This entire day 7 has been hilarious. And now it's finally hurting his... Well, not finally. His feelings have been hurt, which, like, it doesn't matter. But literally this entire day he has been getting laughed at. The witnesses are laughing at him. The witnesses are laughing at him, the prosecution, and now finally the judge is laughing at him. I think he's about to throw a tantrum here. I think this is a tantrum I reacted to
Please, sir,
before.
it's a circular argument. It's you're
I
telling me
wasn't
that
referring
it's
that to
clear.
you. I wasn't referring that to you. The person that it was referred to know who they are.
Well, let's stay on task, please. So
I'm trying to.
you're
but it's
claiming
hard.
it goes to bias,
May I
but
say
in
this?
what
May
way?
I say this for the record, Your Honor? It's hard to stay on task when it seems like the prosecution can ask essentially anything they want to ask.
Because they
Mr.
know
Brooks.
how
But then-
to ask the question. You have no idea how to ask
I
it.
object-
I
He has
had
no
an
earthly
objection
idea.
before. Well, here's the thing. You want to go off target and you want
It's
to
not
bring
off
up
target.
things from the past. I can't
he asks
explain
things that
to
are
you why
hearsay.
sometimes the state has an objection and other times they don't. But
That's
when
not
they're
what I
not,
asked.
when an objection has been made, it is my obligation to rule on it. And so there was an objection.
I'm aware of that, Your Honor. But I'm also aware of the fact, and it's clear that I object quite often, and every single time I object is just thrown to the side every single time.
Well, I would disagree with that characterization, sir.
And why
I
would
make
you
my
disagree with
rulings
that?
in this
Why would
case
you disagree
based.
with that?
I'm like
Can
an
you point out
umpire.
one time?
I'm like an umpire in a baseball game, sir. I call and see the legal objections as I see them. That is my role, and that is what I do. And
Are you kidding me?
that's exactly
Your
what I
Honor.
do. I'm an umpire, sir.
Your Honor.
I am a referee in this trial.
If you're the
And
umpire
let me
with
finish.
Okay.
Let me finish,
Okay.
He's
Mr. Brooks.
cracking.
Okay.
He is
So-
breaking
So-
right now.
Sometimes parties make objections,
bailiff wants to laugh.
sometimes they don't. There can be a variety of reasons. You make a lot of objections in this case. From my perspective, okay, you make a number of objections, I rule on them, and you disagree with them. But that doesn't mean I'm casting things aside. I'm making a call based on the rules of evidence. So, for example, if there's a relevance objection, I'm going to analyze that, okay, based on the objection that's been made. Sometimes I might think there's another basis for something to either come in or not come in. But my rule book, okay, is the rules of evidence, which are the statutes, which once again, I'll point out, I gave you, sir, near the beginning of this trial, so that you would have a better understanding of what those rules are. If you choose not to read them, that's fine. But you cannot
Which he
then
doesn't.
claim that there is somehow foul play because you haven't read them and you don't understand what they are.
For him to say that she's being not fair is laughable. Like, the fact that he's still here right now shows that she's being fair. So the fact that he's even attempting to use that as like some way to say that, okay, this entire trial has been against me from day one, which, like, dude, you hit people with your SUV. Of course everyone in the courtroom is against you, but like, to say that Judge Jennifer, to say that she's been unfair to him at any point during this trial is complete nonsense. Because like I said, the fact that he's still sitting in here right now after how disrespectful he's been from day one all the way to now, it's like, no, that you can't use this.
Your ignorance of the law is not a defense for any of this.
Right.
Okay? And you getting frustrated with me because you don't understand that, I mean, it's just what it is. But I'm calling these legal shots as I see them. And I I've asked you repeatedly for an offer of proof. You want to ask this witness who had limited involvement regarding a part of an investigation related to that vehicle. I don't see the relevance, even to bias, for which I will allow him to answer that. You haven't given me a legal or factual reason to overrule the objection and to bring the witness back on the stand and to question him about his viewing of any news reports. So with that, we are going to take a very short break. The jury's been out for a little bit, but I recognize it's 3:25. It will be a good opportunity for a comfort break, and when we come back on, the state should be prepared to call the next witness.
Can I release at least rebuttal to what you just said, since you
I
asked
don't
me
need
not
a
to
rebuttal, sir.
He
You
wants
may
to
not
argue
agree with
so
me, but
bad.
I've made
It's not
my
about agreement.
record.
You just told me not to interrupt you, and I didn't. So I at least deserve the chance to put on the record a rebuttal.
What would you like to put on the record as it relates to the
This is
specific
that
issue
narcissist
for which I
stuff
was
you guys
giving
are
you the
talking about, too.
opportunity to be heard? Not anything else, not
He has
subject
to have
matter
the last word.
jurisdiction, not
Now you
whether
said
the
that.
state's
I
doing
didn't
other
even bring
things.
that
I'm
up, Your Honor.
only asking you to address the offer of proof.
No,
if
I
you
wanna-
have something, go ahead, but only as it relates to
I want to
that.
address your position because you said you're like the umpire, right?
Well, I'm not getting. Okay, go ahead, sir. I'm not sure why you need to respond to
Because-
that.
Because it needs to be on the record. If you're the umpire, that means you're the referee.
That's what I'm doing here
when,
today, sir.
And when you're not reffing fair if the jury's not allowed to hear things that's important for them to know.
I respectfully disagree, sir. Again, just because you believe the law means you have a right to question all these witnesses about who the plaintiff is and about subject matter jurisdiction doesn't
I didn't question
make it
anybody
so.
about that.
Okay?
That was,
it doesn't
that was
make
between
it
you
so.
and I. That didn't have nothing to do with a witness. I've
You
never
wanna
once
question
questioned a
these
witness
witnesses,
about subject
sir,
matter
about
jurisdiction.
whether they are aware
That is so
of
frustrating.
complaints. And the funny thing is, sir, I sometimes let that question be answered
Right.
for reasons that are completely different, I believe, than why you want them in. I am not going to explain that because I don't have to
say
explain that.
what's my reason for asking it.
Well, I believe you've made it very clear, sir. So here's the bottom
I
line.
don't.
One of my roles is to be the umpire.
Then you
Oh,
gotta
Darrell
be
knows
fair, Your
something we
Honor.
don't
You're a
know.
public servant.
I am fair, and I'm
No,
going to
you're
follow
not.
the
You're not
rules
being
of
fair.
evidence,
Your
sir.
Honor,
That
this is
doesn't
why I
mean
say that.
unfettered
For him to sit here and say, you don't know why I'm asking that, you have no idea.
questioning
This is
of
why I say that.
witnesses
He's going to
that are
pretend
not
like he
relevant
knows something we
or
don't
that
know. The
call
sovereign
for
citizen thing
hearsay
is
or
deeper
for a
than we
variety
all
of
can
other
understand.
reasons that are speculative. There's a whole host of reasons in the rules of evidence, sir, that require me to make those determinations.
You're not being
I
fair.
respect
You're not
that
being
you
fair,
might
though.
not think it's always fair, but
It's
I
not.
disagree with the characterization. I think it has more to do with your lack of understanding of the rules of evidence and the rules of procedure, which you knowingly and freely and voluntarily and deliberately made a choice to represent yourself. And
And you
as
keep
I
saying
warned
that
you at
because
that
it sounds
time,
good
sir,
on the
you did
record,
that
but
at
it's
your
not.
peril.
It's not accurate. You accepted when you gave me the paperwork, Your Honor.
Here
I
comes
gave
the
it back to
contract.
you.
I'm not going in. I didn't say that,
contract.
sir, so we can go back and rehash all of those things.
But you know you accepted
All right.
the way that I gave you the paperwork back. So once
And
you
I made
accept
findings
that,
on the record, which I will stand by, sir. So
and I'm not,
with that,
I'm not
we're going to
arguing.
take.
I'm not arguing your findings.
I
I'm
need
not
a comfort
arguing
break.
the findings,
I'm sure
Your Honor.
you need a comfort.
Oh, what happened? Let's see.
I would like to get through one more
You got it.
witness today.
You got
Thank
it. You got to
We're
call
off
it
the
fair.
record, sir.
You got.
Wow. So the clown show continues as we all can see. But that is insane that he's actually trying to say she's being unfair. Which, like, what else can you expect from him? You know? I'm not going to pretend as if, like, that's some shocking stuff at this point. It's wild that, like, we're on day 7 now, and he's become so predictable, it is crazy. You know? But the one thing is, like, every time I see the way he interacts with people just in this setting, like in a very controlled setting like this, it makes me think of what a menace this guy had to be when he was free. Like, it had to just be horrible. Because like you guys brought to my attention, him shooting at his nephew and all that stuff, and you know, we already know about the situation with his I don't believe it was his ex, you know, his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend Erica, the mother of his child, let's say it like that. You know, that situation, along with like just those couple situations, and then what we see him in here for right now, you can tell this dude was a complete menace when he was free. It is insane. And while we're waiting, I want to say thank you so much again to Rebecca Reams for another $10 donation. I truly appreciate it. And also thank you to Mary McGloshin for a $2 donation. I appreciate it, guys. Like, I really do. Thank you so much. And as always, I know I sound like a broken record, but nobody has to send me anything at all. The only thing I do want to say is if you guys want to donate to the community of Waukesha, I will have links pinned at the top of the comment section, so you can do that. So if you're looking for resources to give back to the Waukesha community, it'll be there for you. But I might skip ahead a little bit. But thank you to everybody that's watching. I truly appreciate it. Let me see. I got a feeling he's still going to be on the same topic.
It's next witness.
Trying to just continue the argument as if like it never stopped. Because he's petty like that. I definitely see him doing that.
To the party's attention that the court just now issued a decision and order in this case. I've signed it. Madam Clerk is pulling it through, and I will provide the parties with a written copy here in court. It addresses the matter of subject matter jurisdiction.
So we're going to address it?
No, I've issued an order. I'm going to give it to you. That's why I'm addressing it.
He's going to rip it up.
Review it later, but there's a written decision now denying your motion to dismiss.
So is that including verified proof that you have subject matter jurisdiction? Because it has yet to be verified or proven.
Well, why don't you read
Mr.
it?
Brooks, you keep making
He's
that
not gonna read
statement,
it.
but it's a misstatement of the requirements in the law.
So it doesn't have to be proven?
You are going to get a written decision. That's how I'm addressing this. And then I'm going to have the jury brought out and just providing courtesy copies to the parties as I had an opportunity to finalize that over the break.
I accept for value and return for value this document.
Thank you for noting that. All right, bring the jury out. State has its next witness, I presume, ready to go?
Yep.
All right. When the jury's brought out, you may call the witness.
Is that verified proof that you have subject matter jurisdiction?
The decision and order speaks for itself, sir.
Is it verified proof that you have it?
Sir, I believe it answers your
paperwork
questions.
I don't believe so.
Unequivocally.
Okay.
There's no verified proof proven yet.
Yeah, it's the same.
There's no verified proof if we're in common law or
Skipped out
admiralty
to
law.
that.
What court is this?
Sir, I believe your answers will be in that decision and order.
I don't believe so.
Well, have you read it yet?
I don't have to.
Okay.
I accept
they're
it
in
for
there.
value and return for value, so
All right, they're in there, sir. It's a final order for
verified
purposes
proof
of
is in
appeal.
there? Verified proof
So
is in
if
there?
you'd like to challenge that, you can take that up with the appellate courts.
Verified proof is in
All
there?
rise.
Because I don't think it is.
You know, I'm still laughing at this point from like all the stuff that's happened in the previous video. But it's like, as he's starting this little tantrum up again, it's the same thing when the day first starts off. They got to get him back on the rails. But it's like, I can see he's really frustrating Judge Jennifer, which like that's, every time I see this type of thing, it makes me realize like, okay, it was funny what he was saying before, like seeing him get flustered. But he always tries to do this thing when he gets flustered, he wants to spread it like a disease pretty much to everybody. Like he wants everyone to feel how he feels. So because he was humiliated not too long ago, now he wants to try to outwit Judge Jennifer, and he's trying to fluster her pretty much. And it's just insane. He hasn't been kicked out in a
Proof
while.
of claim
Maybe
is not in there either. No one has claim.
he'll probably get kicked out at some point. I say that every video now, and he ends up not getting kicked out. But hopefully, fingers crossed, he does. He's sitting here thinking of something else to blurt out right now. Get my notes open.
Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Statement called to next witness.
Sicko calls Carlos Arachiga.
All right, good afternoon. Mr. Arachiga, if you would please make your way to the witness stand. It is all the way up near me, to the right of me. It is up one riser. When you get there, please remain standing. Raise your right hand, and my clerk, Teresa, will swear you in.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, sir. Please have a seat. First thing I will ask you to do is to state your first and last names for the record and spell each.
My name is Carlos Arachiga Nolasco is my second last name. Carlos, Carlos, and then Arechiga, Arachiga, and then Nolasco, Nolasco.
Thank you. Go ahead, your witness.
Thank you. Sir, back in November of 2021, were you living here in the city of Waukesha?
Yes.
What was your home address on November 21st of 2021?
338 Maple Avenue, second unit or upper unit.
Okay, that's a duplex?
It's a duplex, yeah.
Were you home at 338 Maple in the upper unit on the afternoon of that day, the 21st?
Yes.
Do you recall at some point hearing a noise or something that was out of place outside of your window?
Yeah, during that time I was sitting down, and to my left is a window that looks down to the driveway, and when I was sitting down I heard like a big scratch, sort of kind of like just a rough scratch of either metal or whatever. And as soon as I look out, because the window's right there, I just peeped open the blinds, and I was able to see that there was a vehicle that I had never recognized. And as soon as I looked over, I was able to see just somebody being able to get just jump over the hood of the car, kind of dash away. And when I saw the car, I just saw that it was really beat up. And my first instinct was, like, who is this? I hope our cars are okay. Wasn't really sure what was going on. Sorry.
Could you describe the vehicle for us that you saw in the driveway?
It was a red vehicle, SUV, bigger, not a sedan, not a truck, not a pickup truck. It was just a red SUV.
When you looked out your second story window at the driveway and you saw the vehicle, at that time, could you see whether there was any damage to the vehicle?
Yeah.
Answered that already.
Overruled.
Said it was
You may
beat up.
answer.
Yeah, I saw damage to the vehicle. It was mostly at the hood of the car. You can see damage to the front windshield as well. I was able to even see sort of kind of like a lit up headband on the rear view mirror, or the side view mirror, kind of hanging right about, kind of inside or on it, I guess you can say.
We saw that on the exhibit too.
When you looked out the window, had the SUV already come to a stop, or was it still moving?
It was at a complete stop when I looked out the window.
The person you described earlier, where did you first see that person?
Already outside of the vehicle, like I said, jumping out mostly over the hood of the car. And as soon as that happened, I instinctively kind of just shut down the blind. And since we live in a duplex, I thought it was somebody from downstairs that maybe crashed into one of our cars. Maybe they caused an accident, and I tried contacting the people downstairs right away. So I wasn't really in much of a threat, I guess you can say, but I was just confused at the moment.
You know, this is silly. I can already hear. So just a second ago, Because I'm already trying to think, like, I'm listening to this testimony to hear what Darrell is going to try to, like, deem as an inconsistency. So he said that he saw him dash over the hood of the vehicle, but then he also said that he was already out of the vehicle when he looked outside. So just based on the way Darrell does his questions, he's going to try to say, so was the person out of the vehicle or not? Like, just being standoffish and everything. But yeah, I just want to go ahead and put that up in the air. Like, I'm pretty sure that's something he's
Come back to that. I want to ask you a
be
couple more
annoying
questions
about.
about this person that you saw. Was this person directly below you in your vantage point, or was it off to the side?
It was more.
Relevancy.
Overruled. He may answer.
It was more towards the side. Wasn't really below me. Sort of leaving my point of view from the window.
Did
Yeah.
you see what direction that person went after they jumped over the hood of the SUV?
It would have been sort of straight ahead, kind of towards the left of the driveway, so I couldn't see them anymore. We have two windows, one in the bedroom, one in the living room, and if I was in the bedroom, I would have been able to see exactly where they went, but they just went left from my point of view.
So would that have been toward or away from Maple?
Objection,
that would
being
have
the
been.
witness.
Hold on. If there's an objection, wait until I rule on it. And overruled, the witness may answer.
It was towards Maple Avenue.
Did you see that person reach Maple Avenue?
No.
Why not?
The point of view from the window doesn't really let me see towards Maple Avenue or Maple Avenue altogether.
Okay. After the person went out of your field of view, is that when you tried to contact your downstairs neighbor?
Yeah, because I assumed that it was maybe somebody they invited over because I really didn't recognize the person, and I tried contacting them to make sure they knew who it was or who the person was.
From the moment you first looked out your window and saw that SUV until the moment that the person we've been talking
That's another
about
thing
went out of your
Darrell's
field of view, did you
ask
see any
about.
other people outside your window?
No.
Did you at some point go downstairs to investigate?
Yeah, that was during me going downstairs. I was trying to contact the people downstairs because they always invite people over, and that was a vehicle I've never seen in my life. So I assumed maybe it was one of their friends, somebody. So when I went downstairs, I sort of came to the front of the vehicle. I was able to see the damage up front. The hood was really beat up. You could see it steaming a little bit. So when I contacted the neighbors, they one of them actually told me that they'll ask around. He came back to me. He said, that's nobody's car. They all came out. We were all kind of surrounding it, and we were still confused as to why the car was there. And
Right.
at that same time, when we were looking at the damage of the vehicle, people were leaving downtown Waukesha from Maple Avenue from the library going the other way. And some of them were running. Some of them looked scared. Some of them, one of them told us to call the cops. We were kind of confused as to why. And, mostly because we saw the vehicle. And we tried not touching it. We tried just leaving it be. One of the people from downstairs called the cops, and we waited a little bit. And as soon as the cops showed up, they told us to go back inside, and I was sort of inside for the rest of the afternoon until the car was removed.
That's sorry, just really quick, I want to say that's another thing Darrell's going to try to ask about, because in this, in the last few days, he's been like more aggressive when it comes to trying to, instead of like ask anything, excuse me, that like pokes holes in their testimony. He's more concerned about making them feel guilty and feel like they're not like a good person or something like that. He's really done that with the officers. He tries to make it seem as if they didn't do the right things, but I can tell he's gonna try to ask him like, so you called the front office, or you called, I believe he said he called some of his neighbors downstairs. He's gonna say like, so why not call the cops? Why didn't you call the police then? Did that not cross your mind? Like, just really silly stuff like that, because he's more focused now on making them feel like they didn't do the right thing in this situation instead of trying not to go to prison. I don't know.
When you first started standing around the vehicle with the other people you talked about, do you remember approximately how many people were standing around the SUV?
It would have been the three main neighbors that we have from downstairs. Two of their girlfriends, I believe, and then two of their other friends would have maybe been around like 6, 7. And then my mom was also down with me, and then I was there with her. But yeah, we tried not really interacting with the vehicle. We were telling everybody not to interact with it.
And was it at that time while you were standing with those people around the SUV that you saw other people running down Maple?
Yes.
And what direction were they running?
They were heading towards sort of the restaurant La Estacion, heading towards kind of like the train tracks, leaving from the library from Maple Avenue.
So would that be running north or running south?
I guess if you're looking at downtown Waukesha, I guess that would be north. I guess if south is heading towards downtown, north would be heading away from it.
Okay, let's put up.
Probably gonna throw the map up here. Exhibit 15, or which one is it? They might be throwing up Exhibit 15 here. I'm not sure if that's the image of like where the police officers were.
Can we please display for the witness only exhibit number 130?
Go ahead.
130.
And can we zoom in on the right middle of the screen?
Objection. What's the relevancy?
Well, I'm going to ask you to show the witness a map that does not have the annotations. So I'll sustain your objection.
His mind is blown right now. Oh, wow. She's not fair though, right? He will never acknowledge that moment either.
So you want to tell me when to turn it back on?
Sure.
Objection. What's being looked up that's not already in the exhibit? Look like something was being looked up.
I can't answer that question. I don't know.
Is it
They're
exhibit? Is it?
looking for an, can
I guess my objection would be: is there an exhibit being shown, or is there being?
There's
something
nothing shown to the witness right now. It's off. Is it exhibit 130?
It's 130. Was it ever received? Not yet.
So you objected, I sustained the objection. And so I told the state not to show the map with annotations.
Okay.
So whatever they're doing in response to that, I can't answer.
Something popped up on the screen to look like they was trying to Google something, and then now my screen is off now.
It was actually the water bill coming about.
Why does he feel like they have to
So that
explain
wouldn't
to
be
him
an
what they're
exhibit.
doing?
I didn't see anything, so we can take that up later if need be, but let's keep going with the questioning of the witness, and we can deal with that later, outside the presence of the jury.
Just for the record, I know it's 140 exhibits, so it shouldn't be no more than that. Can't create exhibits right now.
Well, we'll get to any legal issues later, so if the state can continue, please.
I'll try to clear this up without any more exhibits
This
for Mr.
dude.
Brooks.
Every time he speaks,
When
it's
you
just
are standing in your driveway facing
nails
Maple
on
Avenue,
chalkboard to me.
if you wanted to go to downtown Waukesha, would you go left or right?
Left.
Objection. That was asked and answered. He asked north or south, and he already answered that question.
This question has not been asked or answered, so your objection is overruled. The witness may answer.
And I'm sorry, you can answer that again.
It was left. Yeah.
And if you wanted to go to La Estacion or the train tracks, would you go left or right?
It would be right.
So the people who were running past your house on Maple, were they running towards downtown or were they running towards La Estacion?
Towards La
Objection.
Estacion.
Asked
Sorry,
and
was there an
answered.
objection?
Asked and answered.
It was clarification, so his answer may stand. The objection is overruled.
Okay. Now, at the time that you were standing around the SUV with those other people, how much time had gone past between that time and the time that you first heard the noise and looked out your window upstairs?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled.
I would say that it was maybe around 2 minutes, not even that much, because I still had to get my shoes and everything. I wanted to go downstairs, and at the same time I was texting the neighbor from downstairs. So I would say a little bit of time passed by before I went downstairs.
Okay. Can we please show for everyone exhibit number 65, a video which has previously been received?
Go ahead.
I was waiting for the objection. I'm surprised. Let me see,
Wait for it to come up from the
65.
video.
Okay, so this is the video of the officer that was walking with his dog and his oldest daughter. That's how I
Okay.
wrote it.
Do you
in my
recognize
notes.
the area that's depicted in this exhibit?
Yeah.
Tell us what we're looking at here.
Oh, well, you want to know what's crazy? Is that they literally, so he described exactly what this was, and I still didn't think of this exhibit right now. Like, I was sitting here thinking, like, oh, wow, this is going to be some new stuff that, like, whatever evidence they're going to show right now, we haven't seen it yet. But literally what he's describing is when Darrell crashed his vehicle over here, and then he ran out of that little, like, alleyway. So I don't even know why I didn't put all of this together. Like, that's,
Right now we're looking at sort of
it's a bit
the
of a
side of the
silver
building
moment
that's
right there.
from Les Paul that's facing my house and facing Maple Avenue. That house in the corner is my neighbor's house. I know them as the Loxes, and over there to the left where the perimeter of the fence ends, that's my house with the brick sort of kind of pillars and balcony. That'd be my house.
Okay.
So I know I could see what the witness was pointing to.
We're going to have Matt take.
So very well. I just wanted, it's kind of difficult for me to put that on the record. So if you can have some further questioning, that would be good.
Sure. That screen in front of you is a touch screen, as long as you use your
Okay.
finger. Can you circle your house for us?
It would be right here.
And we're at the 0-second timestamp on this, just for the record. And then if we could clear that, please. Now I'm going to ask Ms. Gussie to pull up the Zoom tool again. And we've zoomed in on the top left quadrant of this photo, or of this video. If we could play here from the beginning.
Objection, what's the relevancy?
Overruled. It's been admitted already. He testified his house is in it.
Darrell should come running out here in a second.
Pause.
And there he is.
At the 27-second mark, we pause there. Sir, do you recall, well, let me just back up there. Did you see on the video there a figure emerging from your driveway?
Yeah.
Could you circle that figure for us?
Right here, and then
thank you.
right there as well. Where, yeah.
And what's the second thing you circled?
Just a vehicle.
Okay, let's clear those two circles, please. Does that figure, understanding the limitations of how far away this camera is, does that figure appear to be consistent with the figure you saw hopping over the hood of the SUV?
Objection, speculative.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
At the time of my sort of testimony, when we got a visit from detectives, I told them that I did see a figure. I remember saying that he had a hoodie. At the time, I told them that I wasn't really sure of the color of it, and when I was asked again the next morning, I just told them that maybe it was like a gray, a white, but I told them that maybe it was part of the stuff that I saw on top of the car. I remember seeing scarves on top of the car, that headband that was white with colors. So at the time it was like a flash, and I was, what's it called? I can see that I was sort of correct because it was a year ago, and when I gave my testimony, I said everything I could, like that I remembered at that time, which was person I saw had a hoodie on. Wasn't really able to see them face to face, but I can see that they were sort of leaving the car, jumping over the hood of the car, and just kind of, yeah.
Okay. And you did not see that person's face?
No.
Okay. Let's play just a couple more seconds here before we hit play, though. I'll just ask you to focus on the figure we've been talking about. And pause. At 31 seconds. Based on what you've seen so far in this exhibit, does that figure appear to be traveling in a path consistent with what you remember?
Yeah.
Objection. Hearsay. You say you can't see the street from the window.
Overruled. He may answer the way that that question was phrased.
When I mentioned the direction of the person that I saw leaving, facing my driveway, obviously there's an exit which connects that entryway where all the cars are parked, and then our driveway where our garage is, and sort of the way that I saw the person leaving was towards the left of my field of view, which would be heading towards Maple Avenue.
Okay. I'm now going to show for the witness only, please, exhibit number 66.
66, let me see.
Do you recognize the photograph on the screen in front of you?
Yeah.
What are we looking at here?
We're looking at the side of my house that faces kind of the other side of Maple Avenue, I guess you can say.
Okay. Are we on the same side of your house as the camera angle from the last exhibit?
No, we're not.
On the other side?
Yeah, the other camera on the school building was facing the right side of the house. This is facing the left side of the house.
Is this how your house appeared on the night of November 21st, 2021?
Yeah.
Move exhibit 66 into evidence and ask to publish.
Exhibit 66 is received. Permission to publish is granted.
He's not even objecting anymore.
Do you see a vehicle in your driveway in this picture?
Yeah, it's the red SUV that I described.
Okay. We'll show now for the witness only, please, exhibit number 67.
That's one new exhibit.
You recognize this exhibit?
Yeah.
What are we looking at here?
We're looking at my driveway, and then my house is to the right, and sort of this is kind of like the area that we were sort of looking at the car from. We approached a little bit closer, but that's sort of what I saw that night. That is what I saw that night.
Okay. And actually, Judge, just to be a little more efficient with time, I'm going to move through the rest of these photos and lay the foundation and then move them all in at once.
Go ahead.
Sorry. All right. We'll show the witness only, please, 68. Do you recognize that photograph?
Yeah.
What are we looking at here?
We're looking at the car, or the SUV, sorry, that in my driveway. To the left, you can see a little bit of a kind of like a stump, a log, and I recognize those logs from the backyard of my neighbor's house, and it was sort of dragged all the way to our driveway as well.
We'll show the witness now, exhibit 69, please. What are we looking at in this photograph?
This is the other end of the driveway where all of our cars are. We can see to the left one of our vehicles, the white SUV, and then the two vehicles, the blue SUV, and then the sort of the brown sedan. Both those cars are not mine; they're our neighbors' vehicles. But one of them's in the backyard, and one of them's in the driveway.
Exhibit 70 for the witness only, please. Do you recognize this photograph?
Yeah, that's the other vehicle from our neighbor's house. So all three, those are all their vehicles. And if you look further down, you can see the other set of houses that are what's it called, or the other set of houses that are on the same street from my neighbor's house. Our backyards connect.
Let's show the witness number 71, please.
Objection. What's the relevancy of all these photos?
Your objection to relevance is noted. It's overruled. Go ahead.
Do you recognize what we're looking at in 71?
Everything has to be explained to Darrell.
That house, the White House, or sort of the one that's not to the side, to the right, that's my neighbor's house. and then to the right, that's sort of the back part of our house, first floor.
We show the witness number 72, please. Do you know what we're looking at in this picture?
Yeah, right here, those are sort of some of the logs, or as I mentioned before, one of the logs that one of them was actually dragged into our driveway, and they had a few of them sort of for, I'm assuming, sitting down, and this whole area was kind of messed up. This part of the yard is not our part of the yard, it's our neighbor's yard, but they had logs over there, and they were kind of just as decoration. And looking at this area, when we went to go see, one of them was missing, and everything else was kind of beat up in that part of the yard.
And finally, 73 for the witness only, please. You recognize what we're looking at here in exhibit? I'm sorry, there's an objection.
Where's the relevancy of this? Where we're looking at?
Your objection is noted. It's overruled. I believe the witness is going to.
You know, honestly, I'm surprised that he let them get this far before like doing this whole objection thing. It's really weird. I think sometimes he just zones out, to be honest, because sometimes it surprises me that he doesn't like aggressively object, and other times he does. But
Explain.
yeah.
You can see sort of remains of like some of those logs that they, or like those stumps of logs that they had, and seems to be a car part from the vehicle as well.
Okay. Do exhibits 67 through 73 accurately portray your driveway, your backyard, and your neighbor's backyard as they looked the night of November 21st?
Yeah.
And you went outside and looked at these things yourself, correct?
Yeah, I did. Before the cops sort of arrived, when we were sort of hovering.
That's good that he mentioned that, because once again, Darrell is kind of dropping the ball right now. Usually he's aggressive with the objections right now, but I'm glad that he mentioned that, like, you saw this with your own two eyes, right? Because Darrell will try to say like, oh, that's hearsay. He didn't actually see it, and he's speaking for his neighbor and all this stuff.
Around the car, and my neighbors were contacting the police. I was trying to see if any damage was done to our vehicles, because that was our main concern, since we had no idea what happened with the parade or anything. We just tried to go see what happened to our driveway, what we needed to worry about, but yeah.
I move exhibits 67 through 73 into evidence and request permission to publish.
Objection. No relevancy.
Court notes the objection. It's overruled. Exhibits 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, and 73 are all received. Permission to publish granted.
Okay, we'll start publishing number 67, please.
Can the jury let me know if the monitors are on in front of you? Not yet?
We got a lot of exhibits to put in the notes today. Hold on. I think it's pretty much all around the same thing, which is like just the vehicle and around his house, so I might not have to write too much about it.
Thank you. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you. So you previously testified about what's in this photo. That's the red SUV we've been talking about, correct?
Yeah.
And we are facing, if you're the person taking the picture right now, are you facing towards Maple or away?
Away from Maple Avenue.
Okay. Let's take a look at 68, please. This is just a close-up view of that red SUV.
Yeah.
Objection.
Or SUV. I called it a car.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
What is this?
It is the red SUV in my driveway, all beat up.
And you referenced a stump earlier when you were describing this photograph. Can you point that out for us? Maybe circle it for us?
Objection. Relevancy as to a stump. What does that have to do with?
Overruled. The witness may answer.
That stump of log would be sort of on that part of the picture.
The left side of the picture?
Yeah, the left side of the picture.
Can we please clear that, Madam Clerk? Was that stump and
That's
not
how you
positioning
speak
your
the matter
driveway
point right there.
before you saw this red SUV?
With a
Objection.
lot more respect.
Relevancy.
Overruled, it's relevant, the witness may answer.
No.
Okay, let's take a look at Exhibit 69, please. So what direction have we moved as we go from Exhibit 68 to 69?
We have moved more back of the driveway. We have moved looking, instead of the left side of the house, we're looking at the left back side of the house.
So we're moving away from Maple?
We're moving away from Maple Avenue.
Okay, and you already talked about these 3 cars. Can you just remind us what these 3 cars are?
That white SUV, that's one of our vehicles. The blue SUV is one of my neighbor's vehicles, as well as the brown sedan as well, as we can see from this picture.
Do you know if any of those 3 vehicles sustained damage on November 21st?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled, he was asked if he knew, not what he heard.
Objection. Speculation.
Overruled.
From when we were looking back during that area, when we saw our neighbor's yard, when we saw everything, I couldn't really see like damage right away from any of our vehicles. However, it's not in this image. It's in the other image that I was shown earlier. There's a black SUV to the right of that brown sedan. That vehicle did have a little bit of a sort of some damage. What's it called? But apart from that, no, everything else was fine.
Let's move on to Exhibit 70, please.
Objection. What's the relevancy of this?
The exhibits have been received, so the state may question the witness on them.
What direction have we moved from the last picture to this picture?
We are now towards the back of my building or my house.
And did the person who took the picture, did we turn to the right or to the left or not at all?
We moved a little bit more towards the left, just getting a better angle of the back side of the house.
But now we're facing to the right?
Yeah, but
Objection,
now we're
leading.
facing right.
I can rephrase.
Go ahead.
Do you know where Prospect is?
Prospect is it's a one-way street. You can't enter from Maple side, but you can enter from the back side of Prospect.
Do you see a street light in this photograph?
Yes,
What street is that street light on?
that's Prospect,
Okay.
the one-way street.
And the black SUV you talked about a moment ago, is that in this photograph?
Yeah, that SUV right there.
That's the SUV you described as having been damaged?
It was honestly not that much, just sort of kind of like the front of the SUV. There was a vehicle, however, from if there was another image as well, looking at sort of the area, sort of the path that was between Deluxe's house and the backyard. That one did sustain some scratches.
If we go to the next photograph, Exhibit 71.
I was just gonna say really quick, I got a feeling, just based on this guy's demeanor and like how like calm and chill he is during his testimony, I got a feeling that's gonna make Darrell want to like really trip him up and try to be aggressive, because as we know, I mean, we all know that, like, especially when it's a woman on the stand, he goes super aggressive. But I just got a feeling, like, based on that one thing, like, okay, this guy, he's going to take that as, how do I say? You know, he's an opportunist. So, like, he doesn't take these types of moments like, okay, this is a chill guy, let me just ask him some questions. You know, he'll give me some direct answers to this. Like, he just takes it as an opportunity to try to trip them up because of their nature and the type of way, like the type of person they are, if that makes sense. I don't know if it makes too much sense, but yeah, I just got a feeling that's coming up.
Okay. See the street light again?
We'll
Yeah.
see in a
Is
moment.
that the same street light we saw in Exhibit 70?
Objection. Answered that already. Same street light, same question, basically.
Different picture. Your objections noted. It's overruled. The witness may answer.
It is.
Do you see an orange cone in this
I
photograph?
love that simple answer she gave
Objection,
too. Different
Overruled.
picture.
The witness may answer.
I do.
What, if anything, do you see in the immediate vicinity of that orange cone?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
In that sort of area, I see the black SUV. Right in front of it, I see some of those stumps of logs that I mentioned before. One that we saw previously was in my driveway, but some of those were kind of left behind but moved from place from their original spot. Yeah.
Can we zoom in on the middle of this photograph, please? Do you recognize an object within a few inches of that cone?
Objection,
Yeah.
speculation.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
I do. Well, what's it called? I can see what it is, but I don't personally recognize it.
When you say you don't personally recognize it, what do you mean?
Leading. Objection, leading.
Overruled. He may answer.
I've never really seen it. It looks to be like a beanie, but I've never really seen it. Our family doesn't own it. We don't own it. It's
Okay.
not ours.
So you've never seen it in that backyard before?
No.
We zoom back out, please, and move to Exhibit 71. Excuse me, 72. These are the stumps you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
What direction is the photographer facing now?
Whereas we were facing sort of turning right, or I guess we were facing the left side of the building. Now we're facing the right side of the building, the same side that the video camera from Les Paul was facing in the previous video.
Okay, where's Prospect in relation to the photographer?
Prospect would be behind the photographer.
Okay. Is this what these stumps looked like earlier in the day on November 21st, before you saw the red SUV?
Objection, relevancy.
Overruled.
They do not, no, or they did not. They were set in place on the ground, and they were sort of a little bit more together because they were like a seating area for my neighbors.
Okay. Let's move to Exhibit 73, please.
His eyes closed. Look at this clown.
Part you
right
referenced earlier, is that what we're looking at here?
now.
Yes.
Sitting here acting as if he's
To
falling
your
asleep.
recollection, was that car part in your neighbor's backyard before you saw the red SUV on November 21st?
Objection, speculation.
Overruled.
No. My neighbor's backyard is pretty well kept up. They have a really nice backyard, and they don't have any garbage, nothing in their backyard.
Might be. Look at how Darrell is staring so intently to see if they're laughing at him. Because that's really all he cares about. That's really the only thing that he's thinking about right now. Are they still laughing at me? Do I need to throw another tantrum?
We now, so just for the witness,
Why is he acting as if this is insane that it's taking them a little minute to get together? When in his previous cross exam, it took him like 45 seconds in between each question. Nobody said anything to him. You see how like weird this dude is, the way he works? What a straight
Give it
up
143.
weirdo, man. It's insane. Pure narcissist.
do you recognize the vehicle in this photograph?
Yeah, this is the vehicle that I mentioned that sustained a little bit more damage, and it was like I mentioned before. It was through the pathway that sort of connected the Lox's house and sort of their collection of or sort of their parked vehicles as well.
And where in the vehicle do you see damage? The front, the back, both, or neither?
Leading. Objection.
Overruled. The witness may answer.
It is on the back
He said that
side
with
of
a
the
lot of
vehicle,
confidence.
towards the left, or
was
towards the
completely
driver's
wrong.
side, back left.
Can we show the witness only, please? Exhibit 144. You recognize this photograph?
Yeah.
You see the same vehicle?
Yes, it is the same vehicle.
And what are we looking at here?
We're looking at now the driver's side still, but the front side of the vehicle.
And now the witness only, please, 145. You recognize that photograph?
Yeah, this is sort of the like I said, the SUV, and to the right of it you can see another car. They have more vehicles sort of parked in that area, and to the left you can see sort of a balcony area. That's sort of like that little area. I guess you can see a little path that connects that sort of driveway or parking area towards their yard. And it's narrow.
Are exhibits 143, 144, and 145 accurate photographs depicting the scene as you recall from that night?
Yeah.
Move exhibits 143, 144, and 145 into evidence and ask to publish.
Objection. Relevancy to this matter.
All right, the exhibits are received. That's 143, 144, 145. Permission to publish is granted.
Okay, we're looking at 143. This is the vehicle you described?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he definitely hit the side.
Okay, we've got it up on the jury screens
Scraped
too.
against the
Now we'll
entire
take us to
side.
144, please.
SUV. It's weird. No, I'm conscious
front
of
of
calling
that
them
same
cars
vehicle?
and SUVs.
Objection. Relevancy to this matter.
Overruled. The exhibits have been received.
The relevancy is you hit their cars.
It is now. This is the front part of the vehicle, driver's side still, closest to the house.
145, please. The balcony on the left, that's your next door neighbor's house?
Yes, and then to the right of it is one of their vehicles, and to the left is their balcony. We can still see it in a previous image that's facing Prospect as well.
Okay. And this is the same, this Infiniti we see in this photograph, that's the same vehicle we saw in the last two photographs?
Objection. Lead.
Overruled. You may answer.
It is, yes.
Prospect is where in relation to the photographer?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled.
The photographer, Prospect is to the back of the photographer.
So if you were to drive a vehicle between that porch and that Infiniti vehicle, straight through that alley that we're looking at right now, you would be driving toward or away from your house?
Objection. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Objection. Speculation.
Overruled.
If you're driving in between, if you're driving away from Prospect, in between the balcony, in between the SUV, heading that way, where the camera is facing, you'd be heading towards our backyard, our driveway, or the backside of our driveway.
All right, thank you. That's all I have for this witness.
So wait, this is the little space he squeezed through with his SUV? Which makes sense because the side was scraped up. That is insane.
And in cross.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yep.
Examination. Let's see. I got a feeling he's going to be aggressive.
So seeing the damage to the SUV that was parked in your driveway, it would be fair to say that the hood was pretty jacked up. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. If we're talking about the red SUV,
The vehicle in your driveway.
there's multiple vehicles in my driveway.
The one that's specifically in your driveway.
He does not want to
68?
say red SUV.
Exhibit 68.
We can put that up.
Where is it? 68.
Doesn't even know what exhibit it is. Fisher Price.
Do you
Attorney.
see on your screen, Mr. Darrell?
Yeah,
Is that the
yes.
one you want him to talk about?
Yes.
Go
yes,
ahead.
yes.
68 is published.
And for the record, I do not identify by that name or consent to being called it. For the record. Can you
Somebody
see it
said
on
his
your
name,
screen?
I didn't even hear it.
Yeah, the image I can see two SUVs, our white SUV and then the red SUV that I mentioned is that's pretty well beat up.
Fair to say that that hood is pretty beat up.
You can say, yeah.
And you said you observed the driver of that vehicle jump over the hood.
I wouldn't say necessarily jump over the hood. Like I said, sort of jumping over the hood. You can say like kind of like leaving, kind of going, sort of. It's a little bit hard to explain, but not necessarily sliding over the hood. Sort of going in front of the vehicle, sort of evading it.
So what would you characterize as a jump?
He's explaining it right now. I knew this was going to happen. Once I heard the way this dude was answering those questions, I was like, man, Darrell is going to try so hard to trip this dude up. Because that's the only thing he cares about at this point. It's not really trying to, like, he's not trying to poke any holes in anybody's testimony. But we know this already. Literally, the only thing he wants to do is to make you feel humiliated, to feel like you're lesser than him or something like that. But
as a jump, I guess you can say definition wise jumping is just jumping up and down, but colloquially I guess we can say jumping over the hood of the car could be sort of evading the vehicle, going away from it, staying close to it, but sort of still being able to move in a quick fashion.
So would it be safe to say evading the vehicle? Well, let me back up. What do you mean by evading? Would that be trying to distance themselves from the vehicle, or what would you define as evading?
Evading would be sort of trying to get away. So if you have a certain path, you can try to move to the side, step aside, kind of jump over it, I guess you can say. And from the image, we can see that the damage not only is attached to the vehicle, but there's some damage that's sort of spread out from the vehicle as well. So jumping over it, stepping to the side of it, sort of falls within that same definition of jumping over the car, sort of evading it.
So that falls in with your definition of jumped over the hood with me. Would that be fair to say?
You can say.
And you said at one point when observing this.
And this must be that guy that everybody's talking about in the comments section. Everybody's talking about there's some dude that's supporting Darrell that's like actually in the audience, which is insane to think of. That's actually disgusting.
Close the blinds at one point?
Yeah, our blinds are, they were closed. We really don't have like anything to look at apart from the building, apart from our driveway. So when I heard the vehicle, or when I heard, obviously I wasn't really sure if it was a vehicle, when I heard the big scratch, sort of a halt, a scratch, as I looked out, as I peeped over the blinds, I was able to see the vehicle, and I was able to see the person sort of evading, jumping over the car, going away from the car.
You said you heard a scratch. What would you define that as?
I got a question too. Hold on.
Obviously not a scratch that you can say, maybe not like a chalkboard one, but sort of if you can hear maybe like metal or maybe something on concrete. I guess you can define it as a scrape. I guess you can say a little bit better.
Was it a loud crash?
You couldn't really say it was a crash. You can hear the sound that I heard. I defined it as a scratch, or I guess you can say a scrape, because it was.
I'm sorry, you can continue.
Because it was more. It was a little bit longer than just kind of like a big crash and it ended. You can hear something scraping.
So like a scrape.
Yeah.
But not a loud like bang.
Okay, quick question. Just one more question about this. Does Darrell know him or something? Like, did they used to hang out? Because he kind of, I'm gonna be honest, he looks like Darrell before he got like the haircut and all this stuff. So it looks like they would be friends. So I'm just saying, like, do they know each other or something? Like, is that why he's supporting them, because I literally know nothing about him. Like, people tell me about him. I believe people have been telling me about him for a while, but it's like I look him up and I can't really find anything. So I'm just gonna ask you all, like, are they friends or something? Like, do they make music or something together? Some trash music? Because all the music is horrible.
Not necessarily, no.
And how long would you estimate you were observing before you closed the blinds?
I would say I would give it like a good 6 seconds. I would say 5 seconds. Yeah, it wasn't that long because, like I mentioned, I thought it was somebody from downstairs. I wasn't really. I was more concerned about what happened in our driveway, just because I wasn't really sure what was going on.
Did anything get damaged in your driveway?
In our driveway, there was, I guess you can say, damage in however you may define it. Like that log that we can see in the image was sort of dragged into our driveway. There was oil left in our driveway. There was debris left in our driveway as well. And if you could sort of count our backyard was pretty well beat up. Sort of like you can see with our neighbor's backyard. The grass was sort of kind of beat up. Nobody really drives vehicles through that area, so it's pretty well kept.
So it's more like oil, logs, pieces of wood, that sort of thing?
Yeah, things were out of place from when we usually look at our backyard, or how it was that morning.
And you stated that you can tell the general direction of Maple Street from your window, but you can't actually see it?
Yeah.
So that'd be fair to say?
Yeah, because I know where my house is located, and I know what street it's facing, and I know what street or what is to the left of my house, and I know what's to the right of my house, so I know what general directions are around my house. So
if leaving your driveway, going towards Maple Street, if someone would to go right or left at that point, you wouldn't be able to tell?
If we're speaking specifically from my driveway, if you're heading left away from my driveway, not towards the garage or towards that sort of garage area, if you're heading left, you are heading towards Maple Avenue. There's no other way from it.
And once coming from your driveway, if someone was headed that way, once they got to Maple, would you be able to see them at that point?
Not on Maple Street, no. Like I said, I know where the general direction as to where Maple is, but I can't really directly see Maple Avenue from the window that I was at. The window that's to the left of my window is sort of closer to that street, but I wasn't there.
And you didn't get a description of the driver?
What was the question? Sorry.
You didn't get a description of the driver?
Of the driver? Yeah. When we were questioned, or when I was questioned by the detectives that visited us, I remember giving a good description of the driver. I said that he had a hoodie on. I remember mentioning that it was either a light gray, a white. Like I mentioned before, since it happened in a flash, some of the white that I saw was part of that scarf that you can see on top of the hood. And in a previous image, we can see something hanging from the side view mirror, which is also a white, I guess you can say a white accessory that has sort of like a light colored band. And so at the moment, those are some of the colors that popped up during my recollection when the detective showed up. And I could describe the driver as being very able to run, move from the vehicle,
So he
I
definitely
was
took off
pretty,
running.
Sure as to it being not someone very young, maybe not an older individual, sort of physically capable of being able to run away and sort of still present within the moment of realizing what happened and sort of leaving the situation.
And you made that determination just by 5 or 6 seconds of observation out of your window?
Yeah.
Here he goes again with this. In only 5 or 6 seconds, you came to a conclusion. How does he think like human minds work? Does he? Darrell seems to think that people are like, I don't know, like maybe animals or something. Like we don't really understand what we're looking at when we see it. It's like, no, people can see things and then come to like really quick conclusions as to, okay, I should probably do this or that. Like, I don't know why he tries to really make it seem as if that's the way the human mind works. Is beyond silly.
You testified earlier that you saw someone, but you didn't see him face to face. That'd be fair to say?
Yeah.
And the logs that ended up in your yard, you stated that they came from your neighbor's yard. Would that be fair to say?
Correct.
Do you know what they used those logs for?
That they were sort of placed around. They have a few decorations around their yard. They have a fireplace. They have some seating areas. Those logs were sort of just there to sort of sit down because they're little stumpy logs. They had some sort of, I mean, as you can see from the image, they're sort of put together by some metal band. So they're not really just there for use, but more they were just kind of put there for them to sit around.
So pretty much just, if they're out there in the yard, they may use them to sit on, some of that nature.
Correct, yeah.
You recall how many logs were out there?
Not necessarily. I can say maybe 4 or 3. I knew they were there, but I couldn't really tell you the exact number. But I have a general idea of what's in their yard.
And you stated at some point, you and friends or family member, I'm not sure which one you said, but y'all kind of gathered around the vehicle at some point?
Yeah. When I was the first one to head on down because I was the first one to see sort of the vehicle. When I went out, I tried contacting my neighbors from downstairs. They tried investigating, like if anybody had a red car, a red SUV, or anything, and he came back to me and said no. And I told him that there's a vehicle in our driveway, and so everybody came out. Everybody was sort of looking at the vehicle, and everybody was pretty confused because nobody recognized it as theirs or anybody they knew.
So it was more of a let's go see.
I'm actually
what he's talking
surprised
about
at how
and figure out
calm
if it
Darrell
belongs
is
to
being
anyone
right
type
now.
of thing.
That was the main purpose. We were trying to figure out what was going on because we never recognized the vehicle. We've never seen it before, or I've never seen it before. And as soon as I described it to them, they've never seen it before. And they have quite a few people around that visit them, or they had quite a few people that used to visit them a lot. And even then, they couldn't recognize the vehicle.
So what did you guys do
He's
from
pulling
that
back
point
quite a
after
bit,
coming
though.
out and kind of all collectively observing the vehicle? What did you do from that point?
As soon as that happened, not that long away, we contacted the police because we were concerned of like sort of the vehicle as to why it was left there, or who left the vehicle there, and so when we started seeing people leaving or heading down from Maple Avenue away from downtown Waukesha, we started kind of maybe speculating that it was probably involved in because everybody knew that there was a parade going on, and we started maybe recollecting that maybe it was part of the parade or maybe something happened, especially because when we were looking at people leaving the parade, some of them looked scared, some of them were kind of walking faster than usual, some running. We were a little bit concerned. We were just trying to figure out what was going on.
It's amazing how like all these exhibits they're showing start to put this puzzle together, and it, especially with the witnesses they bring up. This is just something I wanted to touch on really quick. When they bring each witness up and like they have their own individual story as to what they saw and experienced connected to what happened at the parade, it's like it makes it even more interesting. Like when you hear what it is they saw and what they experienced, like the officer that was walking his dog and stuff with his daughter, and him sharing his view of what he saw, just Darrell like sprinting up the road.
So it'd be
And
fair
then
to
his
say at that
viewpoint
point,
where-
it was just confusion. No knowledge of
He wasn't even
no knowledge
connected
of
to the
anything
parade
happening
really.
at that point.
Since we weren't at the parade, no. At that moment, we just saw a vehicle in our driveway, and we were trying to figure out what was going on.
Do you recall what you were doing right when you looked out the blinds? Like what were you doing leading up to hearing the scrape and then looking out the blinds?
Like I said, since I was, when I explained first when I heard the vehicle in the first questioning, I mentioned that I was just kind of sitting down. We have a chair, or not a chair, but we have kind of like a recliner couch, and I was just kind of just having a regular afternoon. And since I'm right by the window, as soon as I heard something, I was able to try to investigate what was that noise, or what that noise was.
And at the point that you called law enforcement, do you recall how long before law enforcement came to the scene?
I personally didn't call law enforcement. Like I said, our neighbors called law enforcement. So I couldn't really say an exact time, but they were there fairly quickly. And as soon as they arrived, we were just told to get inside, back in the building.
I'm sorry, can you clear the exhibit? I forgot it was.
It happens.
I forgot it
It's
was.
late.
Do you recall who took the photographs?
The photographs, no.
Were they part of the collective group that all kind of met up to figure out what was going on with the vehicle?
Nobody was actually taking photographs during that time. They were, the neighbors downstairs were, sort of, what's it called? They were just kind of inside the building, and as soon as I left the building, we were just kind of looking at it, and we were trying to figure out what was going on. At the moment, we were just trying to see if we can get help, because we weren't really sure what was going on.
So the photographs that you saw on the exhibits today, was this your first time seeing those photographs?
The photographs specifically, yes, but the vehicle and the whole scenery, no.
No, just the photographs. Was what you saw today, was that your first time seeing those photographs?
These photographs?
Yes.
No.
So you've seen them before today?
Like I said, I was able to see sort of the what's it called? The whole situation, and I was able to sort of, be aware of what was going on.
I thought we were gonna have a situation where it's like, which he may say this in a second, but he spoke to the prosecution and they already showed him the photos and everything. So, hold on, we're about to see though. I got a feeling like Darrell is gonna try to lean him towards.
I'm asking specifically about the exhibits, the photos. Had you seen those before today?
Before today, yes.
And do you recall who showed them to you?
It was mostly just detectives trying to figure out what was going on, sort of that line of questioning that I went through.
And you did say you don't know who took the photographs. Do you recall if the law enforcement that came to the scene took the photos?
When we were asked to go back inside, yeah. When they were trying to investigate what was going on, there was investigators taking photographs and people trying to figure out what was going on.
So, to the best of your knowledge, you do know who took the photographs.
Not personally, no. There was people taking photographs, but
So, multiple officers.
yes.
And that night of the incident, when the vehicle was found and the law enforcement officers were taking the photos, did you see the photos at that time?
No.
He's trying so hard to say it's a conspiracy here. Everyone's working together, as you know, according to Darrell. It wouldn't surprise me if he extends it to him and everyone that lived in his building and everything.
Would it be fair to say that you were subpoenaed to come and testify today?
Here we go. I was waiting on this.
was subpoenaed to come testify.
Do you recall by whom?
By the what would you say? Just by this, not the state, but the city of Waukesha, or the town of Waukesha.
District Attorney's Office, an officer, or?
Just when I received the subpoena letter, it was just from Waukesha. What's it called? Not really. I don't recall any name specifically on the letter, but I just remembered I was being subpoenaed by the city of Waukesha.
Do you recall when you received that subpoena?
Maybe about maybe like a month before, or maybe 2 months before this happened, or before
Before today, you mean?
I wouldn't say exactly before today, but maybe before the trial, sometime in August.
The sovereign citizen questions begin.
The neighbor who's, as we saw in the photos in the exhibit, there was a neighbor whose car had scrapes. Do you recall if they filed any claim in regards to the scrapes?
In regards to the scrapes, no, just because they weren't actually there. I think they were actually at the parade, and since all of Maple was kind of shut down as soon as the police showed up, I think they had trouble getting in or getting to their house. So they got there late as soon as everything was cleared up, and the day after, they were able to see the damage to their vehicle, and they were able to sort of after that whole situation, they sort of knew what had happened, and they probably figured that the damage that was caused was probably from the vehicle that was in the parade. So I don't think filing a claim was probably their main concern at the moment, because yeah.
How would he know as well?
Do you recall having any conversations with the owner of the vehicle at some point? Maybe they may have wanted to ask if anyone heard what had transpired. Do you recall having any conversations with him about what happened that night?
Objection. Hearsay.
Grounds.
Well, the way that he asked it is just, did they have conversations? I'll let the witness answer that specific question without disclosing the content first. Did you have any conversations?
After, it was the day after the incident that I talked to the neighbor.
Was anyone else present in your home the night of the incident that may have seen anything to your recollection?
Not necessarily. Like I said, our neighbors were downstairs, and I had to contact them to let them know what was going on. I told, like I said, my little brother was there, but he has autism, so he's in his own world. And my mom was also in the building, and then she was sort of confused as to what was going on, because I had to go tell her, like, hey, like, someone caused damage to our cars, like, let's go see what happened. And what's it called? As soon as I did that, everybody was aware. But yeah.
Was your family vehicles damaged?
Our vehicles, no.
And I also, sorry, I just remembered. And I'm sorry
After
I forgot
you
this, but thank
contacted,
you. Sorry, really quick. Thank you to Becky as well for the Buy Me a Coffee donation. I just now realized I didn't say that, but thank you as well.
your neighbors
for
who
the
were
donation.
downstairs, do you recall anyone telling you that their vehicles may have been damaged in any way?
At the moment of the incident,
Yes.
no, they were all at the moment of the incident. Like I said, we were all sort of looking at the vehicle, and we were sort of walking around. There was a select few of us that went back, and then we were sort of seeing some of the damage that was made to the yard and what's it called? We as soon as they were calling the cops, none of them really said that they had like damage to their car. I could see part of the black SUV that was sort of a little bit touched up, but it wasn't as bad as the Infinity that was in my neighbor's house.
That thing was scraped up. I still don't know how he's got through that small space. I really don't understand it.
After the law enforcement came to the scene, I'm sure that you had brief conversations with them. Did anyone from law enforcement ever contact you again after that point about additional information that maybe you missed that night?
At the exact moment of the situation, as soon as law enforcement showed up, we were told immediately to head back up to our house, back inside. A little bit after, we were contacted by some detectives, and that was that same night. We were just contacted once, and then the day after the incident, we were contacted again.
So anytime after the day after, did you have any contact with any law enforcement about the incident of that night?
That day after I did, yeah.
And then after that, none?
After that, yeah.
Was that a ways off, a little time after, or was it still relatively close to the event?
So the first times that I was sort of contacted by detectives was the day of, the day after, and what's it called? And I was contacted later on by sort of victim help, but we never really reached out. But apart from that, not. And then I was contacted again before the trial as well. So that would be a little bit closer to the trial.
You just said victim help.
I knew
Can you
it.
explain what victim help is?
I knew he was gonna
Well,
say
I
this.
couldn't
Okay.
really specify what it is because I really never reached out. But we were reached out by I don't know if they were in an organization or just help from the county for people that suffered from the parade. And we were also reached out because we were involved in the situation, just because our house was sort of in the whole mess, and
Right, with
we sort of
vehicle being found in your driveway.
we were sort of pretty shaken up about the situation too. So when we talked to detectives, we were all pretty shaken up. I was pretty shaken up, sort of scared, sort of frustrated too.
So, why didn't you follow up with victim care if you had, a few concerns after the incident? What prompted you not to follow up with victim care?
Objection.
Grounds.
Relevance.
On relevance grounds, I'll sustain the objection.
Leave it to him to try to turn a positive thing like that into a negative. Them trying to help the victims.
And are you aware who the plaintiff is in this matter?
Yes.
And who would the plaintiff be?
Plaintiff being sort of, or I guess you can say the defendant, Darrell Brooks.
The defendant would be the plaintiff?
Or not the defendant, but plaintiff
Try
or
so hard. This
um,
pointless
I
question.
guess
This
what's it
pointless
called?
question.
Could you kind of sort of
The plaintiff would be who is actually bringing the claim.
the plaintiff bringing the claim?
Who's bringing the claim would be the plaintiff.
That would be this city of Waukesha. Sorry.
And once again, in his defense, I had no idea what a plaintiff or a defendant was. So it's no shame in that, because before I started doing this, I had no idea what this stuff was.
City of Waukesha?
I'm confused by the questioning. If I'm going to be completely honest.
We're all confused by it.
Move to strike the line of questioning for relevance.
Brown's
Well-
answered.
He answered at my stand. Next question, please.
He'll still swear that she's being unfair, though.
And you stated that at that time you didn't. There was confusion about what was going on. So, just so we're clear, you at that time you didn't learn any information about what had transpired at the parade at that time.
At that time, specifically, can you specify what time?
At the time that you observed the vehicle in your driveway and then had the initial, I guess, friends and family kind of like.
Oh, during that time window.
During that time, yeah.
During that time window, like you mentioned, as soon as I witnessed the vehicle, I had no idea what was going on in my driveway or what led to that vehicle being left in my driveway. And like I mentioned before, as soon as we being our neighbors from downstairs and my mom, we all went downstairs and we kind of looked at the vehicle, and then we started realizing what was going on as soon as we saw people leaving the parade, leaving away from downtown Waukesha, and we were able to sort of figure out what was going on, but not necessarily like exactly what happened.
And you stated you saw people running from the downtown area or from the other way. I can't remember which one you said, but you said you saw it was kind of like people were kind of all over the place.
Not necessarily all over the place, I would say. There was a cohesion as to the direction that people were leaving or heading towards. It looked like people were heading towards, not towards, but more away from downtown Waukesha. So
You said like a library coming from the way of a library or something.
the library is closest to the downtown Waukesha area, so they were heading away from that sort of general direction.
You made a reference to they was going towards the direction where train tracks were.
Yeah, so that'd be going away from Waukesha or downtown Waukesha.
Do you recall do you recall how many people it were? Was it a lot of people? Was it?
There was quite a bit of people, yeah. It wasn't just one person, two people. There was people. There was some people carrying their children. Some other people kind of with strollers and stuff.
So generally like a crowd.
I guess you can say, but they were all sort of still in the street, sort of still walking with all their belongings. Yeah.
Did any one of them mention what had happened at that time that you recall? Grounds.
That is definitely
Let's go for
hearsay.
hearsay. Do you want to ask him that?
That's definite hearsay.
You just want to know
I
if he
was
talked to them?
asking, did he, to his recollection, did any one of the people that was moving away from the area, did they say anything that he recalls?
Calls for hearsay.
That's hearsay.
Do you want
We just had a whole entire moment where she
someone to
explained all
sustain
this.
the
to-
objection?
You could sustain.
Okay.
That'd do it. No more questions.
Okay, thank you. Any redirect?
Thank
Very,
you.
very briefly, Your Honor. Could we please put up exhibit number 66, which has previously been published? I asked to publish it again.
Go ahead.
And while we're waiting for that to come up on the jury monitors, I'll ask Mr. Arashiga, from the moment you arrived downstairs and saw the vehicle in your driveway until the moment that the police arrived, were you standing near the vehicle that whole time?
Objection. Relevancy.
Overruled.
So when the officers arrived, the first responders, I guess you can say, when they first arrived, we were not necessarily like right by the vehicle, but we were sort of in that general area, right by the balcony area. And as soon as they showed up, we were told to just get back inside. So we just walked back inside the building. But yeah, we weren't really right on top of it. We were just kind of by that area.
When you say balcony, you're referring to the front balcony closest to Maple?
Sustained as to the form of the question.
When you say balcony, what balcony are you referring to?
I guess I say balcony, but more like porch. In a previous photograph, or in another photograph, we were able to see some chairs in that porch area, and that's sort of kind of where everybody was hanging around. And as soon as the cops showed up, they told us to get back inside.
So you're talking about the backyard.
Objection, leading.
Sustained as to the form of the question.
What yard are you talking about?
The yard that we were hanging around.
Yes.
That would be sort of the front yard, when the first responders showed up. Because as soon as they showed up, they told us to get back inside, and we went back inside right away.
From the moment you got downstairs until the moment the first responders arrived, did you see anybody else walk up to the vehicle?
Objection.
Aside from your group. Just hold on a second.
There's an objection.
Speculation.
Overruled. He may answer.
Sorry. On the vehicle. Sorry, can you repeat the question? I forgot about it. I'm sorry.
Aside from the people in your group, the people you knew, from the moment you got downstairs and saw the SUV in your driveway until the moment that the first responders arrived, did you see anybody else walk up to the vehicle?
Objection. Speculation.
Overruled. He may answer. Excuse me.
So between that time, no, nobody else approached the vehicle. All the people that were around that area were people that were with my neighbors, and then just me and my mom as well. Nobody else walking from the parade.
Can we zoom in on the house and exhibit number 66, please?
Objection, relevancy.
It's previously been admitted.
Do you see the window that you were looking out of on the second floor in this picture?
Yes.
Can you circle it for us?
It'd be right about here, or yeah.
Can we please preserve that annotation, mark it as 66A, and I'd move that into evidence?
Objection. What's the relevancy?
Your objections noted. 66A is received.
No, I have nothing else. Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. Sir, you may step down.
All right.
Was he on your list of subpoenas?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
Okay, then he may be
He has no
dismissed.
idea.
Or excused, sorry. Okay, ladies and
all
gentlemen
know
of
he
the
doesn't
jury,
do
I
work
have
until
the instruction once again to read to
the
you.
court day starts,
Please do
pretty
not
much.
begin your deliberations and discussion of the case until all the evidence is presented
Until
and
the trial
I have
begins.
instructed you on the law. Do not discuss this case among yourselves or with anyone else until your final deliberations in the jury room. This order is not limited to face-to-face conversations. It also extends to all forms of electronic communications. Do not use any electronic devices such as a mobile phone or computer, text or instant messaging, or social networking sites to send or receive any information about this case or your experience as a juror. If you come in contact with the parties, lawyers, interpreters, or witnesses, do not speak with them. For their part, the parties, lawyers, interpreters, and witnesses will not contact or speak with you. Do not listen to any conversation about this case. Do not research any information that you personally think might
I'm
be
thinking
helpful
about
to
some
you
of
in
the
understanding
comments
the issues
that we
presented.
get where people
Do not
say,
investigate this case on your own or visit the
some of
scene
you
either
guys
in
talk
person
about how
or by
much his
any
mask
electronic
probably
means.
stinks.
Do
That
not
is-
read any newspaper reports or listen to any news reports on radio, television, over the internet, or
hilarious.
any other electronic application or tool about this
It's gotta
product.
be bad,
Do
though.
not consult
It's gotta be
dictionaries,
pretty bad.
computers, electronic applications, social media, the internet, or other reference materials
Is he
for
reading a
additional
Bible?
information. Do not seek information regarding the public records of any party or witness in this case. Any information you obtain outside the courtroom could be misleading, inaccurate, or incomplete.
He's
Relying
pretending
on
to
this
read a
information
Bible.
is
This is-
unfair because the parties would not have the opportunity to refute, explain, or correct it. Do not
This is all
communicate with
an
anyone
act.
about this
Pretty
trial or
much
your
the way the bailiff is looking right now, that's pretty much how we all feel. But I guess we can go ahead and stop here. She's just reading the jury instructions. Day 7 started off hilarious. Darrell does his usual thing. He becomes super obnoxious, you know, which was expected. But I do have a Alex Murdaugh video that's going up, but I will either have that going up today or you can expect it tomorrow. More than likely, they'll both go up around the same time. So make sure to look out for that. But I'm not sure if I said this yet, but thank you all so much once again for sticking with me, for continuing to watch all of these. But I guess we'll go ahead and wrap it up, and then I'll get started on day 8. We're getting through this trial. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you did something good for somebody today. Hope somebody did something good for you. And I will catch you guys in the next one.